Oh, welcome back to NBA 2K15, and we are here for the Phoenix Suns MyLEAGUE. This is still episode 10, and it is the end of the regular season. Now, we did make the playoffs, but before we talk about the playoffs, we've got some season awards to go over, starting with the MVP of the National Basketball Association is Kevin Durant, 26.8 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, and 4.2 assists per game. Rookie of the Year from the Philadelphia 76ers is Joel Embiid. 105 points per game, 9.7 rebounds per game, almost averaging a double-double per game. And the Sixth Man of the Year, another Oklahoma City Thunder, Reggie Jackson, coming off the bench for the Thunder behind Russell Westbrook, 13.3 points per game with 6 assists per game. And we've got the Defensive Player of the Year is the Brow, the man himself from the New Orleans Pelicans, Anthony Davis, with 19.2 points per game, 10 rebounds per game, so he is averaging a double-double per game down there in New Orleans. And then you have the Most Improved Player will be Tim Hardaway Jr. from the New York Knicks, 11.8 points per game is his main stat. And then the Coach of the Year is the man coaching LeBron, Kevin Love, and that team that had all the hype in the offseason, the Cleveland Cavaliers, led them to a 52-30 season, third place in the Eastern Conference, and he is Coach of the Year. Now it's time to talk about playoffs. Don't worry about playoffs. Just want to win a game. Well, we did win enough games. We are the 7th seed in the Western Conference, not the 8th seed I was expecting to be the 8th seed. We made a push with the last few games of the season. I think it was like the last 3 games. It was either going to be us or the Rockets. So it was pretty much, do we want to play the Thunder, who are the number 2 seed, or do we want to play the Spurs, who are the number 1 seed? And I think we got lucky here. We got lucky, and we're playing the Thunder instead of the Spurs, because the Thunder are, yes, they're the number 2 seed. Yes, they've gone on tears throughout the regular season, but they're missing 2 of their big men. And for a team like us that struggles with the rebounding, struggles in the big men department, besides Alex Len coming off the bench, Plumlee doing his job, but we're not exactly the best when it comes to big men. We're not good at rebounding. We don't have the best post offense, anything like that, post defense. Not good at that stuff. So when you have a team you're facing who is depleted at that position, it's going to help out. So Serge Ibaka and Steven Adams, 2 of their main big men, are going to be out for the entire series. At least I believe so. I think Steven Adams might be coming back in 1 or 2 weeks, so he might be back for the later on in the series, depending on how it goes, because he tore his MCL earlier in the season, and he might come back. I'm not really sure. But Serge Ibaka is definitely out. Dislocated patella, he's out 2 to 4 weeks, so I believe he is definitely out for this series. Now, the other series in the Western Conference, we have the number 1 seed Spurs taking on the 8 seed Rockets, the number 4 seed Clippers taking on the 5 seed Mavericks, and then the Warriors and the 3 seed taking on the 6 seed Trailblazers. And then we flip things over to the Western Conference. The number 1 seed in the Western Conference is the Chicago Bulls, and they're going to be taking on the number 8 seed New York Knicks. So the Knicks are not the Knicks of real life. Tim Hardaway Jr. winning the Most Improved Player of the Year, obviously led by Carmelo. They get the job done. They made the playoffs. 8th seed in the East, but it's still a playoff spot. It's still a playoff spot. And we've got the Raptors, number 4 in the conference, taking on the Hawks, number 5 in the conference. Then we've got the Cavaliers, number 3 in the conference, taking on the Charlotte Hornets, number 6 in the conference. And then number 2, the Miami Heat, rebounding from losing LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh was enough to lead them back to the number 2 seed. They finished higher than LeBron's Cavs. How does that gotta feel to be a Heat player who did not leave and stayed on that team despite LeBron leaving? How does that gotta feel that you were better than those Cavaliers and then the number 2 seed in the Heat, and they're taking on the Pacers in the number 7 seed? Now let's take a look at some stats from each of these teams. The Suns, their points per game leader being Goran Dragic. He also has 4.9 assists per game. The number 2 guy for points is Eric Bledsoe, 14.3 points per game. Leads the team in assists at the point guard position, 5.9 assists per game. Then coming off the bench, the sixth man, he's second in assists on the team and third in points, Isaiah Thomas, all 5'9" of them coming off the bench, 12.8 points per game, 5 assists. Flip things over to OKC, and they have the dominant scoring duo of Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. Kevin Durant obviously winning the MVP. I believe Russell Westbrook finished like 4th in the MVP voting, so it could have been either of them who won it. So Durant had 26.8 points per game, 7.5 rebounds per game. He's their leading rebounder over everyone, over Ibaka, over all those guys. And then 4.2 assists per game as well. Russell Westbrook, 20.9 points per game, 5.3 rebounds per game as a point guard, and 7 assists per game, leading the team, obviously. And then what's big for us about their big men being out in Ibaka and Adams is that those guys are 2 of their 3 leading rebounders. So once you get rid of, you have Kevin Durant as their leading rebounder, but the number 2 and the number 3 guy is Ibaka and Adams. So you get rid of those guys, same with blocks. Blocks is also Ibaka and Adams. You get rid of those guys, and you eliminate 2 huge presences down in the paint, down low. You eliminate those guys, and the Suns, their chance is looking pretty good. Especially when you look at the Suns and the Thunder's strengths and weaknesses. Now, the Suns, good at mid-range, good at three-point, good attacking the basket, good at creating their own shots. But they are bad at the low and post defense, and they're bad at rebounding. So when you have 2 stats like that where you're bad with big men, and you're going to eliminate the other team's good big men, that's definitely helping out. And then we flip things over to OKC. Mid-range, they're good at. Create their shot, they're good at. Attacking the basket, they're good at. Perimeter defense, they're also good at. They're not bad at anything, at least according to 2K. They're not bad at anything. So, we've got the number 2 seed Thunder and the number 7 seed Suns heading into the NBA playoffs. And we'll pick things up in the Phoenix Suns MyLEAGUE next time for Game 1 of Round 1 of the NBA playoffs. I've been your host, JerseyBorn, and I'm saying goodbye.